10 poisonings with extraordinarily common household items. They happen each day, out of the picture and therefore irrelevant, totally unplanned poisonings of ordinary individuals. Truth be told, several thousands are harmed every year in the United States from Tylenol alone. If we were to wake up and glance around, go for a walk through the rooms in our homes, and note the entirety of the different things which could harm us, we'd come to acknowledge before long that we're encircled by toxic substances that we utilize each day. More often than not, we use them as taught, and everything is very fine. However, incidentally, individuals misread a container or disregard an admonition mark, and the outcomes are unfortunate. Here are 10 poisonings with regular, basic family things, going from cleaners we use for our washrooms to try and table salt. 10 pesticide in January 2017, crisis benefits in Amarillo, Texas. Reacted to a deplorable scene where a whole family was extremely debilitated and one youngster was at that point dead. And they were in a split second sure they had an instance of carbon monoxide harming on their hands. 3 additional youngsters would later bite the dust at the medical clinic, and the mother, Martha Balderas, would stay in basic condition while she was treated for harming. 4 additional youngsters and Martha's significant other were all in stable condition. The scene was a bad dream, and it would set aside some effort for the agents to make sense of what precisely occurred. When they set up all the pieces, they found shockingly that they had been off base. There was no carbon monoxide at the scene. Underneath the trailer were pesticide pellets that one of the relatives had attempted to splash off with water. This caused a synthetic response that discharged profoundly harmful phosphine gas, which harmed the whole family. 9 hot chocolate. In mid-2015 in Italy, a lady known as Mrs. Rosetta was making her family a flavorful cup of hot cocoa to drink. Prior that month, one of her grandkids had inquired as to whether they could have a few, and the time was at last here, so she took the powdered blend and made hot cocoa simply like some other night. In any case, something about this specific blend was irregular. However, nobody saw as they tasted their cups of steaming hot goodness. However, before long, her significant other turned out to be sick and begun to upchuck. At that point everybody began becoming ill. What in heaven's name could be occurring to everybody? It was a basic cup of hot cocoa. Sort of difficult to fail. The issue was that Mrs. Rosetta neglected to check the dates on the bundle, a basic slip-up we as a whole make occasionally, yet this time it had disastrous results. The bundle of hot cocoa blend had been bought at some point in the late 1980s, and the dense milk had turned sour, extremely terrible, like 25 years awful. The termination date on the bundling was 1990. 8 nail glue. In 2010, a 64-year-old British man went to place in some eye drops from his eyedropper. In an incidental mistake, the man really put his significant other's bogus nail stick into his eyeball, dropping it on as though it was essentially an eyedrop arrangement. And he immediately realized that something wasn't right. In serious agony, he endeavored to flush the paste with water, however much after a significant stretch of washing his eye, the torment essentially would not die down. The containers look fundamentally the same as, so it's simple for us to perceive how he committed this error. As the torment continued, he in the long run went to the emergency clinic and needed to have the paste expelled from his eye by specialists before his desolation would at long last leave. 7. Torch oil. Another very basic coincidental harming that occurs with a startling consistency is the utilization of tiki burn oil. In the mid-year of 2008 in New Jersey, 6 separate individuals unintentionally took a taste of the oil subsequent to confusing it with squeezed apple. 4 of the 6 individuals must be hospitalized. Tragically, an 84-year elderly person kicked the bucket. An 8-year-old young lady endured perpetual lung harm. Therefore, The lesson of the story: always check and ensure you realize what something is before ingesting it. 6 glass of weed killer in an amazingly heartbreaking instance of harming. 4-month-old Benjamin would take a beverage from a customary glass that would make him and his 2-year-old sister very debilitated. A conspicuous resigned Boston Territory dental specialist named Constantine Pete Sass had the Glynn family over at his home for a barbecue in August 2003 and, being an amiable host, took a container of water and emptied it into glasses for the family to drink. Be that as it may, this normal day turned rapidly astonishing when Benjamin Glynn before long started retching blood, and his folks hurried him to the crisis room in a frenzy. It was a startling circumstance.